Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
No, there's been that office. It's been there for. Well, Paul Bukenya is the deputy spokesperson of the Uganda Electoral Commission, and making a debut appearance tonight is Pauline Nansamba Mutumba, Director Legal Affairs of Uganda Human Rights Commission, and our frontliner and Member of Parliament, Kira Municipality, Honorable Ssemujju Ibrahim Nganda. Good to have you all, and a very good evening.
Good evening.
Perhaps you could, if I could start with Paul, just give us a snapshot of how things look like as we head to elections. How prepared is the Electoral Commission? Where are the sticky points still to sort out?
Yeah, well, thank you, Bwana Simon, and our viewers. Once again, I would say good evening, and to my fellow frontliners for the day. The Electoral Commission is progressing well with preparations for the elections. We have, indicators, issues that we tick off and say that the state of readiness, to describe our state of readiness. Of course, we nominated candidates. We have candidates, and we have positions that are contested. In this election, we nominated candidates for 45,000 elective positions. 45,000 elective positions, 83,000 candidates who are out there campaigning and mobilizing supporters to come and vote for them. We have issued the National Voters Register. We've had a National Voters Register, of course, but now final processes that include issuing copies of the National Voters Registers to presidential candidates and to those candidates who have approached the Commission seeking for a copy of the register. So when you have a register ready, then you know that the elections, you're ready for the elections. The register is very important. We've recruited officials who will conduct polling at the polling stations across the country, and we're doing the various levels of training for them. Some are doing their training as presiding officers, for example, and then the biometric voter machine operators are doing their refresher training. We trained for 2 days in December. We're doing 3 days this January. And in terms of logistics, also planning for dispatch of materials. This morning we flagged off the delivery of materials to the regions and to the sub-regions. Some areas are considered as sub-regions. And they will go down up to the districts, organize them and prepare for early delivery to ensure timely delivery to polling stations and to open on time. The polling dates are set. And I think that's all these are signs of indicators that we're looking at. And of course, the continuing stakeholder engagement to ensure that we are moving together to deliver the elections on the various dates that we have.
You handed the final voters register to National Inter-Platform just 6 days to elections. What caused all this delay?
We've handed over the copies of the physical copy. We handed over the soft copy in September, And of course, now the final register has been handed over, the physical hard copy.
Isn't it ridiculous that you expect someone to scrutinize the register in a mere 6 days?
The register,
looking at 21.6 million
Simon,
voters.
The register was scrutinized by the public in the month of April and May. That's when we displayed it for public scrutiny. So to say that you are receiving this register for purposes of scrutinizing it, as in a display, I think that is a wrong way of looking at it. That's not the purpose of issuing the register at this point. It's not for purposes of displaying it to identify, remove the date, We displayed the register in the month of April. You remember we updated it in January and February, displayed it in April and May. And we started using it in June when we had special interest group selections, where we had different groups selecting their leaders through electoral colleges. This is the register we've been using. We used it for nominations in September. And now we've given by law a copy of the register to parties to give their agents, so that at a polling station, a presidential candidate, the agent of a presidential candidate has a copy of the register. That's the purpose. So it's not to...
yeah, but what if it has issues?
No,
is there sufficient time for someone to raise an alarm?
But you know, there are timelines for preparing and producing a register. And now, so we go back and we say remove, no, the register was completed. The register was completed. It has 21.6 million registered voters assigned to 50,000 polling stations. If I could break down the actuals. So the polling stations, the register is ready. And that's the register we are using. It's the register we use for nominations. Otherwise, if I subject it to scrutiny now, I may go and object to OO and remove any other persons that are on the register. No, the register is closed. The register is final. The register was scrutinized by members of the public in a participatory way during the public display, which is by law. So the purpose of issuing a register at this point is not to take it back to the public. If you do that, then it is something else, and I don't know how you're going to do that.
Honorable Ssemujju.
People who are collecting registers from Electoral Commission, they are still printing. I think by today, they have only dealt with 3 presidential candidates. They are printing, they give you, you check, you tell them these registers for these particular stations are missing.
No, that is not true, definitely, Honorable. Yeah. No, that is not true. You can't say that these registers are missing, although what is true is that printing of the registers...
Can you allow me? Please allow me to make a submission. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you.
But I'm at the Electoral Commission.
Yes, hold on.
But you are not issuing the register to yourself.
But I'm at the Electoral Commission, Simon, and I think I object to that information.
Who are picking these registers, I know colleagues who went there at 9. They left the Electoral Commission around 5. They even had to go to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, asking him, because they are doing the cross-checking as they are printing. He said, why don't you do cross-checking from our offices? We spend here all day. But Kenya must accept, if there are mistakes that are not deliberate, you accept and then we correct them together. But if you seek to defend each and everything, you look like someone who is covering up.
I think this is not just defending, Simon. This is not just defending.
To NRM,
so that would mean then...
the others haven't corrected.
But again, we need to put it in context,
today
Honorable.
You had how many candidates, and you were able to issue to one candidate a whole day.
No, but is this true?
No, but the impression is creating...
How many candidates have received...
the impression... Now, let's go back, Simon. The impression, my good brother, is...
I hope you had allowed me to complete.
Okay. Please allow him to submit and then you'll come back.
Okay.
As of this evening, they had not completed issuance of those registers to all the presidential candidates as the law requires. They are still fidgeting there. I have told you, the exercise, they hand over to you, and the whole register, it's 2 tracks. It's huge exercise, and I was coming to that point. You cross-check, these ones are missing, then they run back, begin printing, then they bring. This is what they are doing. You should have done this and cross-checked and even packed and sent the registers to the political parties and to the candidates. That you haven't done. You are still fidgeting with it. But also, the presidential candidates are required to send these registers. They are not required by law, but by common sense, that they should send these registers to their agents in 70,000 villages at 50,739 polling stations. It's a huge exercise, delivering these registers. And that's why the law says do it 14 days before. You are still doing it. And Kenya wants us to praise the Electoral Commission. That's why people think sometimes, even when your mistakes are not intentional and deliberate, people think you are deliberate, motivated by bad faith. Because if you offload a register 2 tracks, and then I am required to move it to Kabongo, to Chisolo, to Arua, 2 days to go.
Paul, you need to come in here.
Yes.
Is the delay technical or deliberate?
No, there is no deliberate delay. Of
How
course,
do you
there are
issue
technical
a final
issues.
register 6 days to an election?
Of course, there are technical issues, and we've been in touch with the political parties. We've printed 4 rounds of national voters registers as a priority, because we're going to have 4 rounds of elections, presidential elections, requiring register 21 million registered voters. And then the next round is the district chairperson election, a register that is equivalent, is the same number, 21.6 million registers for municipality elections, and then the last phase of the register. And those ones are the ones that we print first before we come to candidates. We've been in touch with the candidates, informing them of the progress that we're making, and of course explaining that it is going to take a little longer.
If you were in touch,
Yeah,
then there wouldn't have been a protest note.
No, of course,
the National Unity Platform.
Of course, the concern and the notes are understandable, because they said we want to move faster, and that's why they've received a register. But it's not true that there's fidgeting, and it is certainly not true that there is you are giving partial, then come back for this, that we are running around. No. This is organized, and it is being done in.
You are running inside.
Of course, now, Honorable is entitled to his description. But what is happening is that a soft copy was issued to candidates, and now this is a follow-up register, which is very important.
If I could get to you, when you listen to the submission of Paul, you get an impression that all is well and elections are on course. And what are some of the observations that UHRC has made thus far?
Thank you, Mr. Nganda. From our viewpoint as Uganda Human Rights Commission, when we are talking about readiness for the elections, of course we look at the legal framework and the procedures and processes that are required to be ready. We look at institutional capacity. Of course, the key stakeholder in this case is the Electoral Commission. And we also look at issues of complaints management and complaints redress. Is there timely management of complaints as they arise? And generally, our observation as Uganda Human Rights Commission is that for this particular election, the Electoral Commission has been very, very responsive and has communicated quite deliberately and intentionally. We've seen a lot of engagement with the political parties. We've seen a lot of engagement with the media. I think we can all say that we know what's happening, in spite of some of those concerns that we raise. If I may lean into the issue of the voters register, the law says that within at least 14 days before, this voter register should be available. We appreciate that there may be some technical issues that arise, but how does that impact? Because remember, we are looking at having a free and fair electoral process, which means that the process gives all parties, all stakeholders, the confidence that the playing field is level. So some of these issues, like the voter register, whereas there may be some challenges, of course they raise some concern. You know, if there are complaints raised within these 6 days, is the Electoral Commission going to be able to address those? I know Mr. Bukenya is saying that we're not looking at removing or adding, but that confidence that the public has, that all the political parties have, that the stakeholders have, that the process is going to be free and fair can be impacted by some of those. But on the whole, when we look at many of the reforms that have been made ahead of the elections, of course, we still have some concerns. We know that our friends in the diaspora are not going to be able to participate in this electoral cycle. That is something that we would have loved in terms of inclusivity, in terms of participation. But we know that the government has alluded to, again, certain challenges. I think for us the issue is, are we calling out those issues? Are we responding to them? And can we ensure that at every electoral cycle we get better, so that the rights of all Ugandans who are eligible to vote are
as an
upheld?
observer, would you bill this as pointing to a free and fair electoral process?
I think on the whole, the Electoral Commission has done well. We do note that there are some areas of concern, and we have been raising those as we go along. One of those that I may talk about is the complaints handling process. But again, we've seen that the Electoral Commission has handled the complaints as they've come in. We may not go into discussing the merits or demerits of those decisions. We've seen appeal processes handled. We've seen that those decisions have been handled in a timely manner. That is a positive thing. Is there room for improvement? Should the Electoral Commission be the one to handle these complaints at a time like this? You know, those are concerns that we can address.
How would you evaluate the role of security?
The role of security is an interesting one, because you ask yourself, that debate is always there. What is the role of security? I should say that within the electoral process, the role of security is actually secondary. The role of security agencies is secondary. It is to ensure that the environment is secure to allow the public to exercise their right. So in the beginning, as the narrative has been said, in the beginning, we saw that there was a lot of positive engagement. As Uganda Human Rights Commission, we've done a lot of engagement with the Uganda Police Force. Our chairperson has engaged the police force, has engaged the Electoral Commission, and in the beginning, we saw there was a lot of restraint. As we went along, there were some concerns at the presidential election campaign level. But we must appreciate that when you look at it in its entirety, there have been sporadic areas of concern. We raised a concern around the issues that happened in Gulu, and we hope and believe that the police has taken the necessary remedial action that is required. We saw incidences in Mbarara, but when you look at all those incidences, Lira, I think there was some instances in Lira, when you look at them within the broader context of parliamentary and all these electoral processes, it has generally been fair. As we tend towards the end, we are seeing more excesses, if I may use that word, in terms of how the security agencies are interacting with certain supporters. But again, when we look at the context within which those things are happening, I think those are areas that we can address, and our general assessment is that the process has been
well. I'll get to AIGP Bamunoba. You're very critical in this, but just the other day, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, the candidate for National Unity Platform, raised a red flag that security had started kidnapping supporters of the National Unity Platform. What's your response?
Thank you very much, Simon, the fellow frontliners, those watching. Maybe in the first instance, security does not abduct, it arrests. So whoever has found himself or herself in that situation has been arrested, not abducted.
In the night, kidnapped, taken away incommunicado?
Arrest can be effected any time. It doesn't have the time limits that arrests have to be done during the day. Even at night, arrests can be made. So security, whoever has been found on the wrong side of the law has been arrested. As for the kidnaps, I'm not aware.
You are picking people in the night, in the wee hours, and hiding them away incommunicado, right?
When it necessitates, there is no specific time to effect an arrest. Because when crime is committed, we don't have to wait and say, he has murdered someone, let's wait and pick him in the morning. No, we pick at any time that we fear.
Is there a swoop on NUP supporters happening at the moment?
Security is doing its part, and it's not being in any way siding with any side or biased against any side or any party, but rather ensuring that the electoral process, the campaigns happen in a crime-free environment where the candidates, the voters, all participate in an enabling environment and they're able to exercise their right.
Okay, for the benefit of our viewers, what amounts to an arrest and a kidnap?
An arrest is if you have committed a crime and you are apprehended by an officer, well identified and known, which is within the mandate of the security officer.
So what is happening now is totally different from what you described. What, according to Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, is happening is that NUP supporters are picked in the wee hours, driven off in vans, the notorious drones.
I think the bottom line, as I've said, is that security does not kidnap, it arrests.
So who is kidnapped?
Those who have been picked, if it is really they have been picked, then it's an arrest. And whoever we've picked, we've owned up. Right?
Do you realize?
There's nobody who is held by police and is not accounted for.
Do you realize that you're stoking tensions with all what you prefer to call an arrest? With all these arrests happening around this time? And
Well,
why?
probably may call it tension, but when security is doing its part, then we don't have to call it tension. Probably the action itself may cause that unrest because it's not a present situation. But I call upon the Ugandans to be calm and know that whoever goes against the law, security will take part.
Well, the most recent headlining arrest, if I could take your word arrest, is Afande Abe, formerly with the Uganda Prison Service, who was kidnapped in broad daylight in Ibanda today. How do you account for him?
I'm not aware. It hasn't come to my attention about his kidnap. And if he's with police, then we shall come out. I'll get that information. But as far as I know, I'm not aware about his kidnap.
What picture would you paint of the security situation in the midst of all this nervousness towards the elections?
I should say the security situation is very, very normal because we are seeing the process going on, the electoral processes. We are seeing the candidates campaigning and the voters turning up, cheer them up and listen to them. So the process is normal. The situation is very normal. And the few mishaps that are happening, we are addressing them, but these are not stopping the electoral process is going on.
Do you see any key areas that you're watching towards the elections?
The key areas we are watching is one, the areas where they seem to be insinuating voices of wanting to incite violence. The slogans being uttered, Kalonde, Kakume, seem to be insinuating some violence. And as security, we are saying, if you can turn up and vote, well and good.
Kalonde is a rallying call. Kakume, Kabanje, it is constitutional, isn't it?
Kabanja, why would you Kabanja? You've elected with, you know that there is a credible electoral commission, there is security. Wait for the results. If you talk of Kabanja, that's what I'm saying, it has a connotation of inciting violence. And we are saying as security, we are watching and we are saying, let people turn up, vote, and wait for the results. As long as the situation is calm and normal, there's no cause for alarm.
Are you still stuck to the position that voters should go home after casting their ballot, even after being advised by the Attorney General that the law allows for 20 meters away from the station?
I think this is being, we need to make it contextual. The issue of vote and go, the 20 meters from the polling station. We are looking at a situation where, yes, the law is very clear, 20 meters. But also don't forget that the Presidential Elections Act makes it very clear about the candidate turning up at the polling station to take charge and witness what is going on directly or through his or her representative. And those are the agents. The presidential candidates have 2 agents. The other electoral parties also have their own agents. So you have these 2 for each presidential candidate.
Within the precincts.
Exactly.
But outside, the law gives 20 meters.
So that's why I'm bringing it into context. I'm saying the law now is being very clear that the candidate can be there himself or herself, or through the agent, because you cannot be in every polling station. Now, in the presence of the agents, then what is the contribution of the voters who have already cast their vote and you are saying they should stay within? Even then, when the results are being declared, the DR forms are handed over to the agent, rightly so? So, what is the contribution of these people we are saying they should stay around? Well, we are saying as security, let them stay. As long as
20 meters.
20 meters and they are not causing any commotion. As long as there is no interference with the process, let them be. Don't also forget that.
Isn't this a contradiction? A contradiction from the position of the CDF, of the big shots in the army who are saying, go home?
I've sounded the reason saying, the electorals are saying, the agents or the candidate himself or herself. That's why you questioned, I said, so what is the role of the voter being around the polling station?
Is it disallowed by the law?
But is the law cast on stone?
Yeah, but I mean, are you creating your own rules?
We are not creating
the
the
law
rules.
Says
We are
a
looking
voter
at,
may stay 20 meters.
we are looking at this from the security point of view. The security point of view. If we realize that the law may cause a conflict by creating an insecurity, yes, should security look on? It can. If it is wrongly interpreted, it can cause insecurity. So you blame the people implementing. And so security is guiding and saying, you voted.
So you are usurping the law.
They actually amended.
You are usurping the law.
We are not usurping the law. We are making it better and ensuring that the law works within the available security means.
So which legal framework are you using now in sounding all this very, very scary announcement?
It's not very, very scary. I think it's the way you are understanding it. I'm talking from a security perspective and from the mandate point of view of the Uganda police. Okay? To ensure that in this electoral process, there is a calm environment for all the parties to participate. The candidates to be voted for and the voters to participate.
What will you do when people choose to stay 20 meters as the law provides?
We act according to the prevailing situation.
What will you do?
What shall we do? If they are not causing any commotion.
But Kenya's boss said they are going to be picked as grasshoppers.
Then we judge accordingly.
That's what we are
We judge accordingly.
Well, I'm glad you're coming in now. You've waited for your moment. What's your assessment of things as we head into election?
As usual, you like kusasamaza.
Myself?
Yes.
You have grown. You are following like an old man.
No, you like kusasamaza. Ssemujju, you made your superficial analysis. I listened to you in silence. Yeah. I would implore you to listen to me.
You are following like a real representative of all the people.
I implore you to listen to me in silence, and you want to divert me. You are galloping our moderator. You jump from one issue, before you finish it, you jump to another. And I don't think that's a good way to moderate a debate as important as this one. But let me first go to the question of the register. Why is it in the law that the Electoral Commission is required to give advance register which is digital, soft copy? The assumption in my view, or the presumption in my view, is that these presidential candidates, or candidates for that matter, are reasonable enough, have means, they can go and read, distill the register. Where possible, they can print. And if they find anomalies, they can raise those anomalies. That's why in April, it is displayed. In September, they were given the soft copy. So that even if, for some reason, like they have explained now, logistical, they're unable to deliver before 14 days. at least the candidates, the parties, have the register, and they would have scrutinized. I'm not condoning the fact that the Electoral Commission did not give the hard copy 14 days, but I think that's the reason they give advance copies. Now, as in the circumstance, does it prevent a candidate from raising the anomalies they have now found, assuming they have found some anomalies? Can the Electoral Commission correct those anomalies?
In real time.
In real time, I think that is the most important point, really, in my view, because already, because already you have the soft copy, you are expected to have distilled. Now, the question you are asking about Manova here, I know he has attempted to answer, but we live in Uganda. We have known situations where candidates or their agents or their supporters waylay others, those they suspect not to support them. And we have had scuffles. Now, be as it may, 20 meters away from the polling station, I agree with the Bamunova that the law believes that all of us are going to act in good faith. We shall stay 20 meters away, mind our business, except where somebody really comes with mischief, and then we can probably prevent. So, if we, the voters, want to stay, we can stay 20 meters away. But we have known situations where people of ill intent, you have seen from the campaign slogans of people, they have said, protest vote. What are the elements of this protest vote? I see in it, I read in it, resistance, I read it, defiance, I read in it, attempt to threaten others, I read it, attempts to derail. What is our previous experience? We have had situations, including, by the way, in party elections. You saw the one in DP in Mbarara, where people ran and tried to carry away ballot boxes. In our own NRM elections, we have seen where people have carried away. They have brought children. They have counted the heads of children on the back of their mothers. Did we intend that when we said line up, did we intend that even children on the back of their mothers should be counted? But if a woman voter, a female voter comes with her child, should we tell her to throw away the child? No, we haven't. Now, in our own situation, we have had cases where, in outside NRM, we have had cases where people pretend to be just watchers of election, but they actually make the polling process. People who are outside are actually the ones shouting into the polling station. You say, "Oh, you see, from far." They have not seen the register, they have not examined it, but simply because they suspect that the person is not going to vote.
They're exercising diligence.
Now
it's diligence.
And I think this is what the police is saying. If you stay 20 meters away and you are not being disruptive, there is no problem. But we also know by our practice, that there are people who will come, bring booze, take advantage of booze to intoxicate others so that they can foment trouble. Would you want the police to look on when people have behaved that way?
Because the law says 20 meters.
And, you know, supposing they are 20 meters, but they are actually barricading the route.
Even stopping with others from voting,
yes.
accessing
What
the
would
polling
you
station.
do? Would you still want the police to just look on? And I think those are the cautions. If we are 20 meters away and doing nothing, no problem. Yeah. And I think for us, who are now debating here, that's what we should be guiding our supporters, that stay 20 meters, but please don't be disruptive. Even if you see something which you suspect not to be going right, there are mechanisms within the law, administrative, you can walk to a police constable, for example, an election constable. You can walk to a supervisor and raise your concern so that your suspicion.
But
your suspicion,
security is categorical. They are saying go home.
No. But he has not
cast your ballot and go home.
On this show, Bamnoba, the chief political commissioner of the army of the police, has said so. The chairperson of the electoral commission has said so.
Yeah, he has clarified actually.
He said go home, otherwise you'll be picked like grasshoppers.
Any other person, could be a CDF, could be a big person in the army of the police, who says otherwise can be challenged administratively. And we say, you the CDF, where are you picking that law which you are telling us to comply with? We can even, by the way, go to court. We have 7 days. We can actually go to court and say, Mr. Court, we are scared of the verbal threats of the CDF. Well, and we can use court to restrain him.
Before I get on to the next speaker.
This is what I'm saying.
Thank you very much.
This is what I'm saying.
I see the unusual deployments back. Are things that bad? Are you just being too cautious?
Yes.
No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
No. But this common sense, we all live here.
No, it is not common.
If somebody is threatening.
No, but that was my family's question.
No. I have my head.
No. It's not your time.
You are trying to drive a narrative, and I think you have calculated that Bamnoba is being conscious because he doesn't want you to draw him into your politics of Njara.
But I think
you're being a bully now.
No, I'm not being a bully. I'm not being a bully. We have people.
Allow him to compliment. Allow him to compliment. With my authority.
Why do you respond on behalf of?
With my authority. Let him compliment.
Yes, we have presidential candidates who are saying, please, we see people going to steal our votes. Please come and pour on the street. You want security to wait until they pour on the street, or should they make a posture which dissuades people from pouring onto the street?
Okay, thank you.
To disrupt elections. Is that what you want?
Corporal Ofwono, that was not your question.
I am higher than a corporal.
Hey, you are now Kano.
I am telling you, I am higher than that. Your ignorance is not my fault.
That's why I am
Simon, when you say a lot of security has poured on the streets, I think this should give you more confidence to say that I think there is enough security where I'm going to walk to the polling station, vote without any hindrance, without any threat, the candidate of my choice. Panic? Hold on. And then, should there be any disturbance, I will be protected because there is enough security. So, Simon, are you saying we should withdraw security from the streets, from the polling stations, so that when trouble ensues, then how do we intervene?
I'll be back with
Having security
Ssemujju
around
Nganda.
you
Let's take a very short break, and
when we continue,
security is ready to secure you. When we return, we'll still be continuing with